afternoon, and welcome to another Super Secret Project sketch. This is Eric Whalen from Super Secret Project X. And today this is the third day I've been off. This has been the Thanksgiving 4-day weekend. Indoors, away from the outside world. It's kind of nice in many ways. Like I am strangely enough, we're doing Droopy today, and I feel droopy today. I'm so freaking relaxed. like Thursday, we had Thanksgiving dinner. I played video games and I kind of napped while watching cartoons. Hard day. Yesterday, got a little bit more stuff done. Played some games. We finished off Thanksgiving dinner all day. And now today, I am drawing Droopy Dog. I missed the last few because they were super secret. Yeah, it's true, they were. As a matter of fact, some didn't even air because they were so super secret. One might even say they were super, super secret, which is why no one saw them. Droopy! Yes, Droopy today. And we're watching Droopy on Boomerang right now. And they made one mistake. For example, with Popeye on Boomerang, you start at Popeye number 1 and they chronologically do all of Popeye. That's the way to do it. With Droopy, they just chop saladed the whole thing. So it's mixed with super classic Droopy, the good, also classic, but not as old Droopy. Those are still good. And then some of the crap ones from the 80s or something, which are just really, really dreadful.
Yeah,
they're bad.
Droopy Dog, Tom and Jerry, something
Suck
mix up that they do that was just
it was bad.
Yeah, those weren't very, yeah.
And so I remember we were getting into Droopy there, and then they hit us with a couple of those in a row, and I was like, done. I can't do that. So now we're just fast forwarding. Droopy.
Thank you, Jim. Attaboy, Jim.
Yeah, we're keeping it classy here at Super Secret Project Sketch.
As always.
Yeah. If we can slide ourselves in a wiener joke, we will.
And you just did.
I know. All right. So I'm going to do my favorite version of Droopy, and there was some good ones, but my favorite version is the super early stuff where it looks like life had just beaten the crap out of him for 50 years, and then they put him on screen. That is my favorite version. He is so droopy and so beaten. It's just he's the funniest that way. Just that he slowly turns the camera. Hello, all you happy people. I mean, it's just, he slays me every single time. Yeah, the Tex Avery. Now, we did watch a couple of the Hanna-Barbera Droopies, and they were quite good. But the Tex Averys,
oh yeah,
perfection.
Yeah, because even there was a couple or a few where even Chuck Jones did a few of them, which were pretty all right. Those actually pretty fun too. He did the the Dixieland Droopy. Was one of the main ones.
Happy.
Yep.
You know what? I'm happy. It's a voice that I cannot do.
I know,
He's such a great voice.
You know what? That makes me mad.
I tried rewatching some Huckleberry Hound, and they're not bad. I see what they were doing. He was kind of like that. Kind of soft southern good old boy, and it's kind of a funny idea, but I never saw Huckleberry Hound recently that really made me laugh. Mm-hmm. And so he had that slow southern drawl thing, and it was okay. But with Droopy, he's not southern, but he is so slick. Guess what? I'm happy, and it's where Huckleberry failed in the slowness. Droopy was perfection. He's so
Well,
good.
Huckleberry was supposed to be more, like you said, more of the kind of the kind of like the Dixieland kind of guy.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is the humor was kind of he was supposed to be a slow character. That's what I mean is.
I didn't never see him as a slow character. It's all more of a chill, not really slow.
Okay, well, we'll pick a different synonym.
Lazy Southerners were made fun of a lot, especially even with the Wolf and Tex Avery. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but with him, it didn't look like they were so much making fun of the Southerners as much as they were just like, you know what, this is kind of funny. So he wasn't really insulting. There was nothing wrong about him. Is a good idea for a character. With Huckleberry Hound, I just never, even as a kid. I mean, I liked the design, and I like the idea, but I don't think I ever saw a Huckleberry Hound that really made me laugh. Droopy beats the crap out of me. He is so funny, and on top of it, the humor.
Well, it's Tex Avery's style.
Well, it is. It's Tex Avery.
His stuff was just amazing.
His comic. He was one of the few guys that outdid Warner Brothers' sense of timing on the best of Warner Brothers. As Tex Avery, he was like a brute. He just walked in and just knuckle boxed the audience. He was so funny.
It's like him and Chuck Jones, or early Chuck Jones.
Chuck Jones is the guy I usually refer to. Tex Avery is actually one step above Chuck Jones, and Chuck Jones is good.
Yeah, Chuck Jones was good for timing and storytelling. Tex Avery was just amazing for storytelling and
He
comedy.
would just pound your funny bone with a sledgehammer. It didn't even have to make sense. It didn't even have to be necessarily, I don't want to say the word clever exactly. Mm-hmm. He would just come in and there's your funny bone, and you're just laughing. And sometimes you're not even sure why. You're like, they just did that gag, and you're laughing again. And you're yeah, Chuck Jones, I think, was somehow...
He was good for storytelling.
Because the storytelling, I think that's what I'm thinking on the clever level. His storytelling was a little bit more interesting. Yeah. But Chuck Jones was Tex Avery was a brute.
Yeah, Tex Avery,
he messed you up.
His comedy was incredible. Chuck Jones, like I said, he was a good storyteller. He was a good designer, and fantastic for timing and stuff. But he was more about the story and the basically the visual drive through, in a sense. He took you there, and you had a good amount of laughs as you're looking at how pretty and how well developed things were. Tex Avery was just you're riding along and you're just laughing your butt off. Quick Koala.
The Irish Bulldog, I was laughing because we were rewatching it. I had forgotten about him. I remembered the Gorgeous Gorillawitz version, which essentially is roughly the same character design, but the Gorgeous Gorillawitz was just your all-American jerk thug guy, and the Irish version was, look, I'm part Irish. I am not insulted. I think it is freaking hilarious.
Well, you had different versions because there was his name was always Spike, in the sense it was quote unquote Spike. But
unless it was Gorgeous Gorillawitz.
Unless it was Gorgeous Gorillawitz, yes.
Is a name that I will always love.
Gorgeous Gorillawitz. Jim says, I think the only time Tex Avery was a little off was with Quick Koala. I saw a couple of those, yeah.
I vaguely remember Quick Koala.
Mm-hmm. And Chuck Jones was lingering on facial expressions. Yeah, Chuck Jones's facial expressions were absolutely just phenomenal. A lot of the stuff he did, for example, Duck Amuck. Oh my gosh, that will always be one of my favorite ones when Bugs Bunny was the animator and messing with Daffy during the whole animation thing, erasing him, and that's where the whole screwball costume comes from and all that. Yeah.
Thank you. I was going Duck Amuck, Duck Amuck. Okay, yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, that Robin Hood, Daffy, just a lot of the ones where it's just the stuff where he had the staring off into the camera, doing the whole fourth wall breaking. The majority of that was Chuck Jones.
Well, never underestimate a good facial expression.
Oh man!
No, I think Pixar is amazing. So this is not me gouging Pixar because Pixar has great facial expressions. But, and I've seen people make fun of DreamWorks and Shrek and all that. Not a ton of people, but I've seen some people because I think they're comparing it too much to Pixar. But one thing, and it's specifically the Shrek brand of the DreamWorks stuff, beat them on facial expressions. There were facial expressions happening in Shrek and the Shrek brand. Those where they went in and they really pushed these crazy facial expressions. And Pixar always did a great job. But there's moments in the Shrek stuff where the facial expressions slayed me. And when people go like, Shrek, it was okay, blah, 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 I go like, I get what you're saying. Some of the jokes are dated, blah, blah, blah. Push that aside. Look at what they did with some of these facial expressions.
Well, yeah,
and because they beat Pixar, and that's why facial expressions alone are like a great thing to.
Well, not only that, but it's like they knew how to caricature.
That's
And,
yes.
and yeah, and that's one of the things with a lot of Disney and Pixar. They make characters, not caricatures, in a sense.
That's
And-
true.
And
yeah.
that's and I love both.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're two different creatures, honestly, and I love them both. But
Well,
yeah,
I think you could learn a little bit
Yeah.
though from what they did, because you're right. It's very caricature-ish. But because it was caricaturish, they were able to pull off facial expressions that Pixar generally. And the thing is
Absolutely.
generally, Pixar has made me cry like a child. I
Yes.
mean, I am not downgrading Pixar, like at all.
yeah, they're just two different things.
It's just that DreamWorks, with some of their work, has outdone them on the facial expressions, and that's what it's. That's what it's like with Chuck Jones. You're like facial expressions. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, facial expressions.
yeah.
But sometimes you needed to get into the brute force, beat my funny bone with a sledgehammer stuff like Tex Avery did. And so good. I'm yakking too much and not drawing.
Having a good time.
Hello out there, all you happy people. God, I wish I could do that voice. It's one of the best voices. He needs a little bit more skull.
Okay, there we go. Back now. Pardon me here, I'm crunching between the snack. There we go. But yeah, excuse me, here we go. Yeah. Yeah, Droopy, he was honestly like growing up, because my family, we were lucky enough, we were one of like the families that we all watched cartoons together, and we loved watching cartoons and stuff, and which probably cemented my love as to my career and all. But you know, some of the first ones I remember watching was a lot of the MGM stuff. So Tom and Jerry, Droopy. I mean, just watching those and our family just cracking up laughing and stuff to the point where like I remember like tears running down my dad's face. One of my favorite ones from Tex Avery is the musical Maestro.
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
The wolf character poses as the conductor and
Yes.
and Spike
Okay,
is
yep.
the,
There we
the
go.
opera singer, or Spike, quote unquote, is the opera singer. And not exactly not a Droopy cartoon, but it's a Tex Avery MGM thing. And I mean, talk about the facial expressions and the caricatures in that one. And yes, some of them were racist and all, but
You have to forgive it. It's the time
yeah, it
period.
was the time period, exactly.
I still, it agitates me so much when they edit these things just, for sensitivity purposes. And I'm like, fine, I get it, but I want to see the original version.
Yeah.
I'm an old enough person to realize that suddenly I'm not going to turn into a raving racist because of a blackface joke or something.
I think, and this is my my thoughts on it. When it comes to the edited stuff, the reason why they do so isn't because they're afraid of people getting angry. To me, it's like they're afraid of kids watching and uncomfortable parents having to talk. And so that's literally my thoughts. It's like,
That's
okay,
kind of a parent's job.
yeah,
though.
it exactly, like buck up and deal with it. It's like, or just don't let them watch it. And it's that whole stupid thing of, well, cartoons are for kids. Like, cartoons are for everybody.
Yeah, cartoons are for everybody. I've never cared for that cartoons are for kids thing, because you look back and a lot of the early cartoons obviously weren't for kids.
Yes.
You know, now they weren't like ravingly adult stuff, but they weren't for kids. They were usually like family stuff, or some of them weren't for kids, you know.
Well, they were shown in the beginning of movie reels. Well,
Yeah, that's what I'm
stuff when
saying.
it comes in during news stuff, and that was like for adults and all that. So it's like, yeah, there they are. There it is.
You know, and you look at like some of the old Goofy stuff where it's like which are some of my favorite Goofies, where it's the instructional videos where it's him trying to, you know, do something and the guy's talking over him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, as a kid I laughed. That's clearly kids can laugh at that. But that's something an adult would look at. That's the adults knew what was happening there. The kids didn't, you know. Where are all you happy people?
Getting a little bit of a sugar low, need to get a boost. James says, I love Little Bunnies. Oh yeah, from from Musical Maestro, yeah. I like the fact that they called back to him so many times. That was just great.
Yeah, it's funny. I would like to see, because I'm glad we're getting some good Warner Brothers still. We're getting some good stuff, like the new version of Animaniacs is quite good.
Yeah.
We're getting some of this older stuff coming back, and it's not that I want to see rehashes and reboots as much as I want to see good content. So if that means it's new, give me new. But on the same note, like Tom and Jerry has been garbage for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and they're bringing them back again in a pseudo
And it's
live action.
and it's always
slash-
awful.
Yeah, it did not look very good at all. It's like all the animals are animated. It's almost like Space Jam, except they made it Tom and Jerry, and not sports, of course. But yeah, it's like they go to a which I always just wonder, why in the world do the animated creature goes to the big city thing? Smurfs, Alvin and the
I'm
Chipmunks.
sick of looking at New York. I don't know about you. I'm sick of New York. I don't get why people keep going to. One thing I want to see in New York, Ghostbusters. That is it. Any other thing in New York, I'm like, it's like, hey, have you seen this new movie? What city is it in? New York? Not going to watch it, because I'm sick and tired of everything happening in New York. Which I guess is a slight improvement from the 50s and 60s where it was LA. But it was like, come on, there are highways.
Well,
Drive somewhere else.
it's either that or they say it's New York, but it's when it's really like Vancouver. Oh, Papa can say Black Flag, so it's Manny at the end of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, it's asking these questions and understanding this stuff. You know. Well, it's how I look at stuff. You can still have fun and still kind of learn and ask questions. And isn't that the point of a kid, is to have fun and learn and ask questions? I mean, isn't that the point of being a kid?
And the thing is, with a lot of the stuff that they did, with a lot of the racial jokes and all that, as a black kid, I honestly already knew all that stuff because I had seen it portrayed so much before. And of course, my parents, they explained it to us what it was and all that, and if they didn't explain it, we were smart enough to figure it out on our own. But for the most part, at an early age, we had to know about that because being black, we had to deal with that crap. So it's like, for us, when we saw it, it was more, it wasn't insulting for us, it was more, that's what it was.
Tiring and lame is what I would have kind of expected, isn't it?
For us, we more laughed at it because we knew it was a very outdated stereotype that only stupid people would believe in.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because
to me, I would look at, well, for example, the Irish stereotype,
Yeah, which,
and admittedly
like,
is not typically as insulting. I get it. But you still kind of got. it was like one of the minor racial pokes as compared to the other ones, which were more like just snap punches to the face. But still, I ended up looking at it, just never thinking anything about it, like going like, oh, okay. But on the same note, some of them weren't as freaking mean as like some of the black jokes were, you know. But I just ended up kind of getting to the point where I'm going like, oh, all right, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually kind of feel ripped off that they didn't give a little more horsepower behind them. You know?
yeah, I mean, I never asked my mom and dad what were their true thoughts behind those, how did they feel, but I mean, for the most part, and also they were laughing along with us. I mean, once again, to bring back the musical Maestro, the blackface scene where the character, when he gets squirted in the face with black ink and he starts doing the Al Jolson song, and then the guy in the thing, he drops an anvil on him, smashes him, and then does oh shoot, I am blanking on the name of the other character that he was, but it was a short, squat, blackface person, and he did, and that was like 2 black jokes in a row, or black face jokes in a row, and we would laugh our heads off at that thing. 25 years old when what the jazz singer Al Jolson was. Furthermore, jazz singer was also a movie remade with Neil Diamond. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, being black, growing up in the old school cartoon world, you kind of knew that stuff at an early age because that was what they supposedly thought of you. And so it's like, no, our parents had the common sense to tell us this isn't what you are, this is what they think you are, and only dumb people think of you as this.
Yeah.
So they don't matter.
That's kind of how it's the whole, well, I was raised on the sticks and stones idea. You know, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. I could see it being ticked up a click when it's as far as, you know, portrayals on TV and cartoons and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just like, are you going to let somebody off in some other city make your life miserable just because they portrayed somebody like... Yeah, I'm not saying that there isn't a reason to be mad. I just go like, life's too short. Enjoy it. Stop caring about what other people think. I learned that in school real fast because people are nothing but mean most of the time.
And the funny thing is with that, I wish people would learn the other side of that is life is too short to be a douche all
Exactly
the time.
right.
It's like, why do
They're
you have,
wasting their time.
Yeah, why in the world are you so miserable that you have to make other people's life miserable? It's like,
Why
go
are-
find a hobby.
why are you a big freaky meanie? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I actually just more or less feel pity for a lot of people like that because you just go like, that's what you're spending your life doing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. But back to the cartoon stuff, yeah. Yeah. But,
Well, that is cartoon stuff. I mean, could you give me some replacement batteries? I'm starting to run out of juice.
What size are they?
They are this size. They are AAAs.
Okay. Coming in behind you. Whoop, whoop. Two, right?
Yes, please. Thank you, sweetie.
Welcome.
Come on. There you go. So I don't want to leave.
I'm trying to think a lot of the yeah, but yeah, Tex Avery groupie. Yeah, and the thing is, I don't remember Spike being Irish all that often. I remember him more being silent and just being doofus. When they actually had him speaking and when he wasn't Irish.
Well, we had the one last night where Droopy's twin brother Drippy shows up, and he was the Irish version,
Yeah.
and he's begging for food at the mansion that they're both butlers at, and Droopy's all like, "Oh sure, yeah, come on in, I'll get you food and stuff, it's gonna be totally cool," and then they'd switch spots and Drippy would just pound the living crap out of
No
him.
strangers.
No. Oh! And then there would be like this 5 or 6 seconds of horrific violence. They land again and they switch, and Droopy's all like, "Let me get you a bathrobe." And I'm all like,
What I love was the absolute confusion of Spike.
oh yeah. Because he would like look at him going like, "What is wrong with you?"
Well, that when he was like leading him by the hand, he's like looking around like, what the heck was happening?
It's just my favorite moment is that whole like, you know, he's really trying to do the math in his head.
Like I had never seen that before in a cartoon of him like actually being aware of his surroundings. You hardly ever saw that.
Well,
He was just getting the cat beat out of him, and he's like looking around like, what's going on?
Was not only aware of the surroundings, is he was in that environment questioning the shtick that was happening and trying to figure out what was wrong with his reality.
Exactly.
And there's the someone getting smacked with a pie humor, that can be funny, but that's like level 1. But when somebody then goes, wait a minute, why is this happening? It just becomes like it increases in humor at a geometric rate at that point, where somebody's like questioning reality, and you're like, being a kid watching old cartoons, you made reference to Jack Benny and Rexall, and growing up, and grown-ups would look at you and think, "You sure you're not 65 years old?" Well, and weren't we talking about that last night, where we were like watching like these shows, going like, I know they're referring to somebody famous, but I don't know who that is.
A couple of days ago, I was showing you this the one thread somebody did with all of the old Bugs Bunny cartoons and all the old the stars that they were referencing during that time. And they
Oh,
actually
that was it. Yeah.
They did the side by side comparisons and stuff, and yeah, I mean how we knew about them growing up. We never saw any of the stuff that they were in.
Didn't have a
because-
clue
Yeah,
about the movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we knew who they were. Oh man, yeah, the Butler short last
Butler
night
one.
with Drippy. Oh man, my
Drippy slayed me because they literally went, you know what? Outside of the scene where he steps in and you see him wearing his normal clothes, he looks absolutely the same.
sounds the same.
They were like, nope, don't miscolor his nose or anything.
He
They are
was his twin.
identical.
Yeah, he was his twin brother. It's like no strangers, and it would just suck the
Bam!
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Yeah, let's see that one, and then the other one, which was a. Was that? I don't think that was a Chuck Jones one, but the one where Droopy goes to Ireland, and there's Irish Spike who thinks that he's a leprechaun because Droopy got one of the souvenir hats.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna get me own leprechaun. I'm gonna be a millionaire, which was funny because that's last night we were talking about that. We're like, it's funny how the concept of a billionaire wasn't thought of at that time period. Gonna be a millionaire.
$1 billion? That's an amount that doesn't even exist in 1965.
Well, the concept is, billion, the concept is there. Just that who in the world would thought that they'd have that much money?
But it's just, I love looking at a lot of these old cartoons and kind of, you know, and you mentioned something like Tom and Jerry. People, oh yeah, I remember Tom and Jerry. I remember Popeye. But then if you really compare and contrast them, you really see like how they were really kind of all doing slightly different things. Mm-hmm. And you kind of go like, I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not one of those team players that goes, I'm only for cartoons from the 60s. It's like, no, I'm just for good. Yeah. And there's some good stuff that's coming out now, but there's some stuff in the past where you're kind of like, I don't want us to forget that either. Yeah. And like, the comic timing of Tex Avery should never die. It's like people should always learn from that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Aside from, I think probably the closest we've seen, even maybe like this is kind of an offshot, was a lot of the when they redid a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff for like modern times. So like the new Bugs Bunny cartoon that was out. or I shouldn't say new anymore, but like the one from
The new one, 10 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, they have the new one that's on HBO right now. That supposedly that is the throwback to the original.
Yeah, I still haven't seen any of those yet,
Same
outside,
thing.
outside of that one that they released that I caught.
Yeah, and what I saw, it was actually really good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I thought it was good, but I also was kind of like it was. It was good, but it lacked a little bit of cleverness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like some of the Chuck Jones stuff, like you said, had some of that cleverness to it, or like a quick switch around. And the one they showed me was good, but it was a lot of just like boom, dynamite, boom, bear trap going off, and I was like, oh, that's fun. But I was kind of going like, you know. It can't just be smack wham, thank you, ma'am humor. It needs, give me some cleverness there, you know.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's like when we were talking about last night, how a lot of the cartoons after the 80s or so started going more towards adventure and action and
Sure. And there's
and-
nothing wrong with that. It's
No, just that because of that we lost a lot of the snap comedy
Yeah.
and stuff that was in a lot of the animated stuff, and we don't hardly we don't have that hardly much anymore. It's
Well-
it's very rare to have it nowadays.
well, for example, and I'm not saying they did a terrible job when they in Steven Universe when they did the episode with Peridot and Steven clearly trying to do the Wile E. Coyote thing, and they were trying to catch the
Yeah.
monster as if it was the Roadrunner. First of all, I was like, very nice, and the thing was, is they made me laugh a couple times. It was pretty good. But one thing that I did notice is where Steven Universe was very strong, they did not really get the finer points of that kind of cartoon. They got it. It was good, but it wasn't like I just got slapped across the head with a funny hammer. I didn't just and I'm all concussed with humor. I didn't like they didn't beat the crap out of my funny bone. And that's what that style of humor to me is supposed to be. You're supposed to actually feel the laughter burning in your ribs after you're done. It's supposed to be really extremely funny. And they did a good job. But no, they didn't reach the same level.
Yeah, that's the internet meme of "oh my sides."
Yes.
Oh, Jim brings up a good point. He's like, yeah, Phineas and Ferb was probably the closest. Yeah.
Phineas and Ferb is excellent.
Yeah,
That's one of the few ones where they really got it down.
Yeah, and he said,
Those guys are good.
Family Guy used to be fast and clever, but you can see one of the writers very often worked on Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and I cannot back this up, but my guess is I stopped finding Family Guy funny probably about the time that those dudes left.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first watched that show, I was crying. And then it got to a point where it just started feeling like The Simpsons, but meaner. It was like, oh, this again. All right, well, it's kind of funny, blah, blah, blah. But I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, no, if I'm going to watch something and not be doing my thing, I need something. You need to make me laugh. You need to make me cry. You need to move me somehow. But if it's just like, oh, gee, another episode of The Simpsons. Who cares? Oh, another episode of Family Guy. Oh, guess what? It's Black Family Guy, The Cleveland Show. Oh, guess what? It's Republican Family Guy, American Dad. And you just get to a point where like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Look, I actually respect Seth MacFarlane pretty, I do. He's funny, blah, 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 but I'm kind of going like, this used to be really good, guys. And you lost me.
Yeah, everyone pretty much knows my
I
opinion
know.
of Seth MacFarlane. So, and for those who don't know, my opinion is I think he's a talented individual.
He is.
And
He's
that's-
talented.
Yeah, and that's where I stop off at that. 'cause
But
like,
I think he's like George Lucas. There needs to be somebody there to tell him no.
yeah.
There needs to be somebody else there to give him options. I think he's excellent, like George Lucas, if somebody goes, no, how about this instead? How about we don't go after this tiny percentage of targets that he has a tendency of going after, usually his political opposites.
Yeah.
And somebody goes, wait a minute, how about we make it funny instead of making it a political something?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I think he That's where I think he needs somebody, and maybe the Phineas and Ferb guys were those guys. You know,
because I was it.
damn, they are funny.
Was it that? Well, that was Simpsons. Like Conan O'Brien used to work on the Simpsons. But yeah, a lot of those guys and stuff, and unfortunately, when I think a lot of the good people left, we just had the
Like the
people that-
mean-spirited
yeah, which
people.
actually, yeah, there was an actual controversy where
Yeah,
one
just
of their
mean.
yeah one of his writers actually did get in trouble for
Being a total jerk.
yeah, exactly, and it's just like that was all that was left. Everyone else was just like, okay, we're done.
We're done. And that was the thing is, you can be scathing and clever. You can, if you're really careful, you might even be able to be mean and clever. But if you're just being mean, I'm not interested. I'm sorry. Even if you're being mean to the people that I don't care for, I'm not interested. I'm in it for the ha. Or the cleverness. Yeah, exactly.
But my kids like it.
George, why in the world did you take a look? And I'll even go like, let's just skip over the cultural insensitivity thing because some people really drove that hard. And I was kind of going like, to me, they just kind of felt like Islanders, but they didn't seem insulting. They just sort of, that was a whole race of cartoon characters. That's Star Wars.
Right.
I don't care what anyone says about it being deep or whatever. I don't think it is. To me, it's a big cartoon. It's a fun, action-packed cartoon with a great soundtrack and great design and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, it's guess why R2-D2 makes computer noises? It's a cartoon. You know, it's just there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just that Jar Jar Binks was the character I didn't want out of the Gungans to go with them. I actually wanted the stiff general guy. I thought that he could have been funny. You know, a super stiff general aquatic gawky Jamaican guy. I was like, if you had clever writing, that could have been funny. He could have been like your C-3PO. You know, the straight guy. And then had somebody else that should have been the straight guy turned into the funny. But instead they were like, no, let's just put a character for 2-year-olds in there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I was 2 once. I was 2 for exactly 1 year. I don't remember being 2. So I'm sorry, that is just not a good reason to put Jar Jar Binks in there.
I'm trying to think, was it George Lucas or somebody else? They actually cut out. I'm trying to remember what Star Wars. Now, unfortunately, I'm blanking because I'm getting a little tired, sugar low. Where it was like there was rumored that NSYNC was gonna be, like the boy band NSYNC was gonna be in one of the scenes because like again like somebody's daughter really liked them and they were gonna put them in there or something like that.
You might as well say Backstreet Boys. They're all the same
Yeah.
thing after that particular act goes, stale.
Yep.
It's like, guys, those kind of bands only last for a few years. What are you doing?
Well,
Why would you ever do something like that?
Well, and even in my opinion, on that is it even depends because if you have an actual true group that's not formed together by corporations, because technically Boyz II Men is a boy band, but the fact that they were actual good friends who loved to sing together as opposed to let's put this corporate thing and put these guys together out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
but even putting them into Star Wars for no apparent reason wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I love the metal band Sabaton. I see no logical reason to stick them in a Doctor Who episode. I don't. As freaking kind of... no, it wouldn't even be cool. It would just be nonsensical. It would make no sense to do it. Just
if you're
don't.
If you're gonna stick a band in there, you're gonna put the band Muse because their music already sounds like Doctor Who music.
Well, no, my thought is why are you doing that stuff anyway? No one cares.
I was just being silly.
No, I understand. It's just that weird corporate mentality and I work in corporate and I don't get it.
It's the let's put the popular stuff so people can go, ooh, look, it's the popular thing.
Well, it's like America's obsession with having animated movies with, quote unquote real stars as voice actors. Instead of getting somebody who could do a good job, they get a famous person who sometimes, yes, does a good job for 10 to 100 times more money than, a professional voice actor would do. which would love to have the work, you know, and
Yeah, a lot of, and I've unfortunately haven't been listening to him. Yeah.
Busta
Nice.
Rhymes for the
He got you all in check. But yeah, I haven't been listening to a lot of the voice actor podcasts. They just haven't been. I haven't seen as many as they used to be. They were actually doing a lot of them for a while, and I think now that everybody's working, and then with the pandemic and all that, a lot of people have just. They just haven't been putting them out there as much. And plus, well, the ones that I listen to have either all stopped or people got jobs, or people actually got work and all that.
hopefully.
But from a lot of those podcasts, a lot of those people were talking about how when Hollywood started that trend of putting
So stupid.
yeah,
Such a waste
putting
of money.
big name stars in there, and they were saying how they were happy that they were finding something to do, but on the same note they were getting pushed out of their own jobs because of the fact that now this like big name Hollywood person suddenly steps in and goes, my kid loves this franchise, can I do this? Oh, of course you can. And instead of just going, hey, this person that's been doing this right here who can do the character, here, give them their job, give them this job. And it's like, no. I have yet to find a kid to go, yay, name Hollywood big stars in this movie, hooray.
They don't care.
Yeah, it's like, dude, and I mean, it's been proven when you have the people who actually do the voices. Who was it? Which voice actor was it? Crud. I can't remember the voice actor, but somebody was saying how they were in like it was like in Disney World or something like that, and there was this kid. They were standing in line waiting for something, and the kid had on had a character shirt on of the character the person was doing, and the person was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" and talking to the parents and the kid, and he goes, I do the voice for that character, and the kid's like, no, you don't. And so the guy, or whoever the voice actor was, does the voice, and the kid looks at him and just goes,
I've heard better.
No, I can do it better.
Yeah.
And
They
apparently
don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
Kids
don't care.
They just want to see they just want to hear the voice out of their character. They want to see the character. And so it's like when you sit there and have these people who normally just, and most of them just they're doing their own voices. They're not actually doing the voice, the acting part of the voice acting. They're just doing their own voice.
Yeah, they're basically there to sound like themselves so they can sell themselves, which I don't care. I'm sorry. You already have hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't care. So why don't you give it to the voice actors that no, seriously. Let me think. Genie in Aladdin, because Robin Williams legitimately did make that character.
Yeah,
that is an
he was the
arguable.
genie,
That's
yes.
one of the few times. Shrek,
Mike Myers.
Michael Myers.
Mike Myers.
Michael Myers. Mike Myers Michael Myers. There's a good voice actor. Mike Myers. Seriously, Eric. But most of the time, it's like, guess what? This famous person. I'm like, now, unless they really make a difference, I just don't care. I'm sorry.
And the thing is, with both Robin Williams and Mike Myers, they were doing cartoons. They were actually doing voice acting. They were doing completely different voices for the characters as opposed to just.
Well, Mike Myers is like a cartoon person. I mean, he does living cartoon characters.
Yeah, but he wasn't walking up going, "Hi, this is Shrek," blah 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 blah. He was doing a completely different voice with an accent and everything. And then same thing with Genie. It was him being the animated crazy, doing all types of voices, ad lib, yada yada, right then and there.
Yeah, they were getting their money's worth.
Yeah, they were actually being the characters as opposed to the one just walk up, "Hi, I'm Mel Gibson. I'm going to do this voice. Here's my character voice." It's like, no, you're just being Mel Gibson in a movie. and it's like, I mean, and one of the other the closest ones was like also with which I've never seen it. Well, I should say saw parts of it, but poor Will Smith in Shark Tale got boned on that one. And then the other one that he was in that came out a couple years ago, the one with the was it? It came out last year when he was the spy that got turned into a pigeon.
Yeah,
Got
no offense
boned
to
in
Will
that one.
Smith, because I actually respect Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. No, I do think he's a great actor. I just. Why is he in a cartoon? Go do one of your normal movies. Give that part to a voice actor that is trained to do that.
See now, once again, I can forgive Will Smith because again, he wasn't doing Will Smith, even though he does Will Smith in his movies. He was doing cartoon Will Smith.
Sure.
There's actors that can do actual voices of varieties, or are actors trained to make a character. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it's like one of the things that really bugs me about the whole actors coming in is when that trend that started about probably 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where when the billing when they show the movie, they show the trailer, and they show all the stuff, and then they do the whole the giant name list.
I'm like, don't
hate
care,
that.
don't care, don't care.
I
Show me
absolutely
the
hate
cartoon.
that. It's just like, what happened to showing the trailer for the movie? I don't care about the names. I
Yeah,
wanna
it's
see
that's the
movie.
first thing that makes me uninterested in the movie.
Mhm.
It's just like, guess what? We got Patrick Stewart. Guess what? I like Patrick Stewart. I don't care.
Which is unfortunately this because of the Emoji Movie, which he was in because with Sony. That movie actually sank them.
The Emoji Movie, what a stupid idea for a movie.
It ticked me off because they picked the Emoji Movie over the Popeye movie that Tartakovsky was doing, over the movie, what was that? The Medusa movie that Lauren Faust was doing, that she left because they wouldn't let her do it. But then they
They do the Emoji Movie.
yeah, which after it took them that long.
That's such a heartless corporate concept.
It took them that long to build back up so they could do the Spider-Man movie.
Which was amazing.
yeah,
That one was good.
Yeah, they came back with that one, but it's like I had a hard time forgiving them for the Emoji Movie.
Well, it was it's that numbskulled corporate lowest common denominator BS thinking that I hate so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sitting there thinking that I'm a genius or that I need some highbrow entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't treat me like I'm a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And Emoji Movie equals complete idiot. I'm sorry. That was who cares?
Very rarely do I see a cartoon or an animated feature that I go, nah, I'll pass. And that was one of the few where I'm just like, yeah, I'm good.
Well, I mean, for example, and I'm not going to judge the Trolls movies. It's just not my thing. Maybe good. The Angry Birds movies, maybe they're good. I just have no interest.
The Troll movies, I heard they was actually pretty funny. I want to see them because I like the character designs. I thought they looked cute. What was the other one you mentioned? What was you just said?
Trolls and
The Angry Birds.
Thank you, Angry
Yeah.
Birds. Oh, that completely emptied my
I
brain
heard
out.
those were actually hilarious. And there was one cutscene, well not cutscene, but there was one scene I saw that one of the animators that I follow on Twitter. They did the scene, and I don't know if it got cut or not, but they're like, yeah, here's the pencil test for the scene, and there's the character called the Mighty Eagle, who's in the if you
Yep.
play the game, you know
I know.
the character.
I know the character.
He's actually a male stripper, and he's sitting there, and he's literally shaking his butt, and his buns are literally jiggling up and down, as the red bird is just kind of staring at him, just like, what the heck is this? He's had the most uncomfortable look on his face, and he just turns around and just starts like grinding his front.
All right, maybe I'll watch it. That sounds ridiculous, you know.
Angelina Jolie or George Clooney doing a southern voice can be anyone. Yep.
Yeah,
Emoji
exactly
movie,
right.
troll movie. Hey, is that Ariana Grande? I need to sit through all this stuff. Exactly. Like, I mean, okay, the little kids are probably gonna know who Ariana Grande is.
I don't have a
because
clue. I read that and I went, Ariana Grande. Is that caffeinated or not caffeinated? No, I'm serious. I was like, is that a coffee?
Yeah, she's a
Who is
singer
that?
that's been around for a little while. And stuff. And a lot of those singers, they grew up like they were on Disney Channel and all that stuff. So a lot of people do recognize them. But still, for the fact that that's another thing, it's just like, okay, just because they were on a Disney show or
Who
so,
cares?
it's like do we still have to see them?
Here's the thing. There's a number of those girls, and nothing against them, but there's a number of them that the only reason why I care about them, and then I really do like them, is because like one of them played Candace on Phineas and Ferb,
Yeah.
and was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I think another one of them, isn't
Well, the chick who played
Last Airbender. I'm sorry, Legend of Korra wasn't. Oh wow, Asami, wasn't she played by one of those girls too? You used to be
no.
like a okay. I
no,
thought maybe she was.
On Phineas and Ferb. The chick who played Doofenshmirtz's daughter.
Yes.
She was the voice
Yes,
of
Vanessa Doofenshmirtz.
yes,
Yes.
Vanessa. She. Oh, come on, brain. Like I said, I'm low sugared, so I'm having a hard time thinking.
It's okay.
Oh man, come on now. But she did another character. Now I'm gonna look it up because that's gonna bug me. Because I'm just like,
That's what Google is for when your brain runs out of sugar.
excuse me. All right.
Oh, cool. Hotel Transylvania. And it has a Shrek ending where they sing and dance. Yeah, that ceased to be cool. Well, that really ceased to be cool when anyone other than Shrek did it. And I thought it was fun when they did it in Shrek. But beyond that, it's like, okay. Yeah, I see that you're following a trend. Good job, corporate America. You're doing your job. You know. And I'm not even saying it was like mind-blowing when Shrek did it. But it was like when somebody does it and then somebody else goes, what a great idea. It's like, why don't you come up with a different idea and see if it's even better? But they can't apparently do that, so... So when corporate America produces something good, I'm like, good. You fought your dark side, corporate America. Good job. It's like with the Spider-Man enter the multiverse, enter the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
I was like, oh, wow, you guys actually put together a decent movie here. Good job. Are you happy people?
There we go. I was trying. I actually found it before I even saw it, which I'm glad. The Vanessa Doofenshmirtz was actually she was voiced by Olivia Olson, who also did the voice as Marceline on Adventure Time. That's what I was trying to remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
and she's one of the Disney singers? I'm trying to connect it back to what we were talking about.
No, we were saying as far as doing what was that?
To say, I was like, which I like both.
Yeah,
characters.
you were talking about the Disney girls and stuff, and you brought up the voice of Doofenshmirtz, and you were saying how she was doing something else. Like, well, she originally
No, I brought
was,
up Candace. You brought up Vanessa Doofenshmirtz.
That's right. Yeah, you said Candace, and you were saying somebody else was on there who was doing something else. So I was trying to connect it with
Well,
that.
the one that gets me, and I don't think she was ever one of the Disney girls. Candace's friend,
Stacy.
Stacy.
Yes.
I forget her name, but then I found out later was also China White on Arrow, and was also the last innkeeper on Warehouse 13, and it just didn't occur to me for the longest time that those, and I thought they were three different people, was the same lady. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the voice actress for her. And then I went, oh, that's funny. She plays China White too. All right. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's her from Warehouse 13. Which, do not ask me why a white wig was enough to confuse me. Usually I'm really good with faces, but then my brain was like, click, 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 click. Terrible white wig. I don't know who that is. Oh my God. Who is this gorgeous woman on Warehouse 13? She is stunning. Wait a minute, that's China White? Wait a minute. That's Stacy from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, I'm not good with faces and names, but I'm excellent with voices, and so when I hear a voice,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm kind of okay with voices.
yeah, I'm like, I know who that person is. Give me a second. And yeah, when I heard Stacy's Stacy's character, and Kelly Who, that's her name.
Kelly Who.
Yeah, and then she was on something else. I'm just like, hey, that's the voice of. I was like, I know that voice. And then we were on Warehouse 13 when we were watching that. She comes. I was like, hey, that's Stacy. Yeah, she's done quite a few other things and stuff, of course, even before then, but. Yeah, speaking of with Phineas and Ferb, that was one of the few cartoons that had like a lot of the good comedic timing and stuff. And
Oh, it was so good. Matter of fact, I'm kind of feeling the urge to watch it again at some point soon.
I don't think it's on streaming unless we get like Disney, which I've been wanting to. Yeah, but yeah, they took it off of Hulu, unfortunately. Once the Disney Plus thing came up, a lot of the Disney stuff went away. She was in Surf Ninjas.
Awesome.
Oh, that's right. She was Lady Deathstrike in the X2 movie.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see that. The in my opinion, the best of that run of X-Men was the second movie.
I liked First Class.
Well, I'll give you that. I don't ever need to see it again.
Oh, the one when they go back and when they were.
Oh, First Class, not First Movie. Yes,
First Class.
But that's a different series of
Oh,
X-Men
I got you,
movies.
okay.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
different series. I think I got the long-running Happy People
Yeah,
group.
that's good.
Happy. I don't know, sing and dance, promote a pop song. Yeah, I forgive that for the Shrek series because they had that mentality, and it was kind of fun. But after that, it was kind of like, oh, seriously? Are we still doing this? Or and I hate it when it just gets into this is the easy answer, so this is what we're going to do. I hate that.
It's formulaic, and if
And it's lazy.
if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality, and if they like, oh, it's going to make us money, let's just keep doing it this way because this is what made us money. And yeah, it's lazy, but it's the safe choice, which we know with corporate America, they always go with the safe choices.
Kyle Macy at one point decided to do a rap for the Underdog 3D movie. This is the exact same. And by the way, I am not against rap. This is not a slight against rap. But Moana, I had it with Moana. I did. But the moment the Polynesian god started rapping, I was like, you guys just don't give a crap about what you're doing at all. I, by the way, would have said the same for heavy metal. I would have said the same for country western. I would have said the same for Dixieland. I would have said the same for disco. Oh, wait, there was kind of a poppy disco a song in there, wasn't there? Instead of, I don't know, the mythological battle against the undersea monster, let's instead turn it into some horrific... Moana was too much. Moana was such a huge failure in my mind. It actually made me mad.
Same here. I went in expecting this beautiful, great Polynesian,
That's what I wanted.
great story, and instead it's like, okay, they paid all this money to get the dude who did Hamilton, which
They should not have
which
bothered.
I take nothing away from them for that.
I
That's
do.
what they wanted to do.
If that's his
fine.
music, he's a hack. It was a terrible movie.
I've never seen Hamilton, so I can't say.
And I'm not talking about Hamilton. Maybe Hamilton was amazing, but what I saw him do in Moana, I can only walk it with that one example. I can only say one thing. He's a hack. Maybe Hamilton's amazing. I need to see it. I don't know.
Well, I'm
But
not,
what I saw in Moana, I was
I'm-
not impressed.
I'm not going to call him a hack because, again, I don't.
I have to go off of what I saw, and what I saw was hack work. Sorry. Maybe Hamilton's great. Maybe I'll see it and I'll be like, I'll change my mind. It could totally happen. But what I saw in Moana, I was like, this is a hack job. This music is absolutely forgettable.
And, but the thing is, like a lot of the earlier stuff, like the going into the telling the story, the first song was good, and then the song with the grandmother I thought was good.
I thought the idea with the grandmother was good,
Yeah.
but then they just kind of did nothing with it, and I was like, oh, okay, so instead of telling a story, you're selling me a soundtrack. And it's a soundtrack of music that I wasn't remotely impressed with. And they weren't selling to me. I mean, I know that. But still, I have to go off of my experience. And my experience was Moana was an entertainment atrocity. We should have like Nuremberg trials for Moana. It was terrible.
Tagline: opinions on this show are ours and ours only.
Yeah, it's my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's your business to disagree with me. At the end of the day, no offense. It's not going to change my opinion. But I feel strongly about this. Great. That's not my opinion. This is my opinion. Moana was an atrocity.
Send all your angry mail too. No, I was kidding.
Go ahead.
I'm kidding.
Go
I'm
ahead.
kidding. Please don't send us angry mail over your opinion.
Moana was highly overrated, like Neon Genesis Evangelion.
No, jeez.
Ha ha ha! Come on, come at me.
You're just going for it. I don't want to have to go through emails, hon. Please don't.
Who responds to internet email? What are you kidding me? It's like reading comments under YouTube. Why would you ever do that? Honestly, why would you ever do that?
Because people are bored. They have nothing to do but harass other people.
Exactly why you should never read it.
To the full circle what we were talking about earlier.
I was not big on Moana. Yeah, there were the thing was there were moments early on that I was like, yeah, where is this going? And then it went nowhere, and I was like, frustrating. It was a frustrating movie.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch was freaking amazing.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch was great. Moana did not get close to comparing to it, and it was because they used music as a crutch. Sorry, guys. Write a script, because that's how you make a good story, is in the script. Freaking soundtracks. Anyways. Can you tell I still have like PTSD from Moana? It's so
You're just
bad.
really angry at that one.
No, Moana really made me mad. That was such a huge disappointment.
See, I didn't care for it, but man, I'm like, yeah, I take it for the. I love the character designs. I love.
Yeah, those were great.
But it's like that, and I'm like, I just took that and just said, okay, that's all I need to have. I'm done with it.
See, right there. Thing is, I love Hawaiian and Polynesian stuff. Me too. And that is why it ticked me off so much, because they could have done something with it.
Yeah.
And instead they just did the most dumb surface level stuff they could have done. My biggest criticism is it was one of the only movies I saw where I legitimately thought that there could have been a serious dance sequence in it. And I'm not for that. That's not my thing. They could have totally done this whole, like, really getting into the Haka thing and really, the whole, like, tribal, spiritual energy kind of awesomeness. And instead they were like, you know what, let's just do the soundtrack guy from Hamilton instead. And it was like, so you skipped over a really amazing thing you could have done in trade for too many musical sequences, whatever.
It's
terrible.
I even would have said, like, do what they did for the original animated Lion King, was have a mixture of classic pop music and having Elton John singing stuff, and then having traditional African singers and stuff on there. I mean, because
Yeah.
they had, well, I'm blanking on the
Or
name
they
of
could
the-
have just had authentic singers and got rid of the pop trash altogether, which is what my thought is. I'm just saying the pop stuff will be always forgotten in 6 months. The traditional great old stuff is never forgotten.
Not really, because Lion King, there's like "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" is still one of the major songs that's still played and still out there. So,
I don't remember the last time I've heard it.
well, that's you because you don't listen to radio or music.
Damn straight I don't.
See, there you go.
Yeah. I watch movies. I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah, and that's why.
Anyways, everyone have yourself a good week. We will catch you later, and we need to get dinner going. So
Stay safe, everybody.
Have a
Drink
good
water,
one.
Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet away.
yeah.